Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm Bruce Waller, and I'm so excited to be here talking with leaders leading in the workplace, making a difference. How did they get to where they are, and how do they continue to stay relevant in their leadership? And today, I have one of my favorite leaders on our show today, and his name is Greg Hawkes. Greg Hawkes, he is the founder and CEO of Hawkes Agency. He's an incredible keynote speaker. He's an expert in company culture, and he is full of energy and inspiration. I'm so excited to have him on for him to share perspectives today. So welcome to the show, Greg.
Thank you so much, Bruce. You know, I always love getting to spend time with you, whether in reality or virtually. So thanks for engaging me in this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have some really cool things I want to get into. But the first thing I want to do is, I know that in 2019, Hawkes Agency celebrated 10 years. And so
yes, we did.
Just share, what's that journey been like? Starting a company, all of those emotions to where you are today. Just tell a little bit about that for our viewers.
Okay, well, it has been quite the evolutionary journey, because any small business owner, even as an individual, knows what they imagine their future to be or how their life contributes to society in a meaningful way. The path to end up at that end result is never linear. It's never straight, and it's never clear. You get a couple steps, and then there's going to be a turn. You get a couple more steps, there's going to be another turn. So there's never I see how I'm going to do this for the next 10 years. Like when we started 10 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined. I would have imagined, but it wouldn't have been this experience. It wouldn't have been this expression, because back in the early days, I subcontracted with companies, and my progression of how I developed my own content and really found the ways I think I could provide the best resource for teams, leaders, organizations, nonprofits. And so the first few years as I was subcontracting, I was doing other people's content. I was working with their clients. And then in the middle of 2013, my primary relationship, some of their monies has changed. It said, hey, we're going to end this contract before this year is out. And up at that point, I'd built some relationships, and I'd been doing stuff on my own. And in that season, I had done some more consultancy where I was really embedding myself with teams and helping the discovery of values process, shaping language around culture, and really helping bring all of that to the surface. And that's where I spent lots of time with culture and creating. You don't really create it, you discover it, and then offer it ways to be embraced by the team. And then in 2014, I got my first website that was Hawkes Agency website, because it was like, okay, I'm on my own now. It's like, I'm not going to do much subcontracting, if any. I'm going to just kind of blaze this path. And so I LinkedIn message everybody I knew that's like, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I have to offer. This is where I think I can contribute. So if you've got any opportunities for speaking or training at that point, let me know. And so really there's a lot of great relationships of people that invited me into their world and trusted me to share my content. And as it's developed, and itself has evolved over the years of how I share, what I share, just to hearing the need it fills and how it helps solve problems and discovering that. And so it's just been kind of that sort of evolution of arriving to here we are today from 10 and a half years ago. It's wild.
Yeah, I love how you use the word evolution and evolved. I mean, you continue to evolve. I remember the first time I met you was at Oklahoma HR, and there was so much energy, so much. As a matter of fact, I think Mike Shaw, one of our friends, had the national, I thought he might have made it up, National High Five Day. But it was incredible energy. And so I thought, this guy is an incredible speaker. And
thank you.
But, we talk about evolving, and we're in a new world of work. And, what are you doing today? Now that we're in this new world of work? I know one of the things you've been doing is you've been promoting huddles. And that is really what caught my attention, and why I wanted to get you on today was I just wanted you to share more about, what are these huddles, and who should attend these huddles, and what is the purpose, and more on that.
Okay. Well, let me scale out a little and kind of take a more of a macro perspective, because in the case of the evolution of serving people, because I suspect the people that are watching this have a heart to contribute in their communities and on their teams with the people that they're around. And what I found was that having a really healthy sense of self is pretty important in kind of who I am and what Hawks Agency is about, whether it's in a pandemic or whether it's glorious. Like this year, Bruce, we were set up, we were having our biggest year ever. Like we had some really strong momentum and just been able to serve really great clients. And there's a lot of things that we had going on. And so the immediate halt, as you know, it just all ended like in a day when it was like, hey, we're not traveling anymore. We're closing our borders. All that's like, oh, we're not letting people together, you know, gather with 10, the first 100, 50, 10. It's like, okay, so the conference world is over for a while. And when that originally happened, you know, I'd had a knee-jerk reaction like, oh, I'm going to create products for professors and universities because they're teaching virtually now. It's so different. And my son's in college and my older brother's a dean. And so I do a lot in higher ed. And, but I was like, that's just not really true to who I am. I'm not a teacher of how to do virtual sessions. And so kind of stepped back and said, okay, who are we? What are we about? And so even for us, we're just a small business, but we have our own values: relentless, amusing, and distinct. Out of those three, we shape all of our decisions. And so it's like, how can we relentlessly serve with excellence with already who we are and what we have? And you can kind of see a little bit in my studio office here, like I already am comfortable with video. I've already been doing a lot of video things. And so I wanted to invite people into this world that's virtual, that everybody is forced to be in, and find ways that helps them. So I started with the huddle because in reality, I like connecting with people, and I know that there's a lot to people have to offer one another. And you know, from just a company standpoint, the team huddle is a very common experience for executives and team leaders to start out their day and say, hey, let's just spend 5 minutes. Let's go around. Everybody kind of give us an update. What's your priority today? Anybody have any real big challenges? Okay, all in, woo, go, have it. You know, and so just that touch base when organizations are healthy and leadership teams are strong, that's an integrated part of how they keep communication fluid and how they keep relationships healthy. And so I was like, well, I want to translate that into the virtual experience. And I don't have a staff to do that with. I have one employee. Sarah's just awesome. And so I was like, well, let me just provide this for others who maybe their organization isn't up to speed virtually yet, and bring people together where, you know, keep it short. So 30 minutes where we'll invite anybody and everyone can come. And there's brain power galore. Lots of really smart people from all over the nation come together. They can be HR professionals. They can be business owners. They can be other thought leaders, speakers, or consultants. There's a variety of people that we have relationship with, and people that I haven't known. Like almost every week, somebody shows up. I don't know who they are, but yet they're willing to contribute and want to be connected. And so it's been fascinating. So I did that, but then so that was the first thing I created. Is like, I can facilitate interaction and help people share wins. Because in that setting, it's like, all right, I'm going to pick 5 people randomly. I'll just pick 5 people and say, tell us something that was a success this week, and then tell us something you're having a challenge with. And because here's what you know, Bruce, is that oftentimes our own minds, and in these very extraordinary times, people have a difficult time seeing where they're succeeding because everything seems like a struggle. Some things are in slow motion. And, you know, now we've kind of come into a place where everybody's got a rhythm and a groove. But the first 3-4 weeks is just such a sludgery of days are really long, and the finding pattern with we have kids in the house, all that was difficult. So having this place where we could come and go, man, you did win. Like you did some things that were really awesome this week. Let's not lose sight of those. And then the challenges you're facing, let's get it's a think tank of brilliant people from all over the nation to share ideas on how they've overcome that challenge. And what's been really interesting about the huddle itself is it's almost like themes emerge each week. like a different thing will come up, whether it's a month ago it was, how do we sell in this environment? And then it was some mental health. What are you doing to keep yourself mentally healthy? And then it was communicate. And so all these things bubble up. It feels like when you're alone, God, this is hard. But when you come together with this group of total strangers, and there's a resonating of, we're facing that same challenge too. It's like, okay, so I'm not in this isolated experience, or this thing I'm having is not unique to me or our business or our company or our leaders. And so that's been cool. And, I created a Monday. So I was like, hey, we can serve. So Mondays, I do these 30-minute scheduled meetings so the Zoom one is a 30-minute total open. Everybody can come on Wednesdays. It's Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Time. On Monday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central Time, I say, hey, pick a 30-minute slot, schedule it, and we can just talk. I haven't done coaching as part of my services. I only do that when I'm consulting. But like in this, so there's like networking, there's brainstorming. I'm decent at generating ideas. So and just listening. And so I've done I've talked to people that I've never met before. They've set up a schedule. It's like, hey, I saw you on LinkedIn, wanted to meet you. All right, well, let's get to know each other. And so we do that. And then on Fridays from 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time, I just turn this lovely little camera on. And because when I used to work in an office and I would sit at a desk, that did happen one time in my life, I would be restless. And so randomly I would get up and walk down a hall and stick my head into somebody's office and say, hey, what's going on? What you do? And just do that office drop by. And so I've created this open Zoom room drop by where I just turn the camera on and I invite people to come drop by, stick your head in my Zoom room, say hello, get a break from what you're doing, and then go back to work. It's intended to be a 2 to 3 minute, 4-minute connection. And it's been really fun because people from way in my past have shown up, like people I haven't talked to for years. Like, hey, I just want to stop by and talk. I've had people show up at the same time. And so then all of a sudden it's a mini networking event where I introduce people, make connections. And so it's been a lot of fun. Again, in that pivoting in a way that's like, this is true to who I am. It really aligns with how I want to contribute to serving humanity, teams, leaders, organizations. And it aligns with kind of where our society is going. And it's something that is now also kind of embedded into resources we can offer as we move out of this situation. I've created a whole nother vast virtual services that now we provide that have been a lot of fun to implement as well. So that was a long answer to a short question.
No, I love that. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm thinking Friday, man, I need to be sure and stick my head, through that camera. That's awesome. What I heard from you was that you found a way to offer a platform to create community and to serve maybe you could say an unmet need, but people. I remember at the Sherm National Conference in 2019. Friend Steve Brown, he said that people in the workplace need people outside the workplace to go just to talk to. We talk about networks, important networks. So one thing I think about the huddle as well is that it's a chance for people to also just build their network, right? They're just
it has been
from other people as well.
It's been amazing, Bruce, how people connect, because that's the beauty of it. And I've always been one that's like, I don't have all the answers, but I can find somebody who does. I will connect you and so I'm pretty decent that way. And so bringing people virtually together, I've had people that answer, like somebody will share a problem, somebody else answers a solution, and then they'll like exchange emails in the chat room, and off they go to further the conversation outside of my world. And that's just rewarding as a person, as somebody who cares about helping people contribute their best. And so,
listen, that's fantastic. I love the way you're purposefully bringing people together. It's their choice to show up, but man, when they show up, good things will happen. And so,
absolutely.
I was thinking, you got a lot going on.
Bruce, I'm working harder now than I have forever. Like, I'm working my booty off during this time. It's a lot.
It's like one day you're like, what do I do? And then you blink and you are so busy. And so I was just wanting the viewers if you could just pull back the curtain and just share.
I got no curtains.
What's a day in the life of Greg Hawks? What does that look like? What time do you get up? Do you have a system that you use? What's that look like?
It varies. Every day varies. I wake up between 4 and 5 a.m. Generally speaking. I used to, before COVID, I would run I would mostly run in the morning. So I'll do 4 to 5 miles in the morning, and I've got a friend that shows up on Monday. So every Monday at 5 a.m. we run. And now that COVID's in, we've changed some. And so I'm early morning. So here's what I know about me. My peak time is the morning. So my creative time, the best energy I have for it. So I'm up and I'll read. Like this past all of COVID, I just finished it 2 days ago, but I would read. I have a book that I was reading. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. Hardest, thickest book I've ever read. I just read a chapter in the morning. So I get up. I don't usually have breakfast until maybe 7.
Okay.
So I'm up for a couple hours, drinking coffee, drinking water, reading, just kind of spending time looking at my day. And then I get on my computer and I'm generating content. I'm interacting with people. I'm talking to Sarah, my business manager. We have a call every morning at 9 a.m., roughly around 9 a.m. And that'll be, I mean, it can be a 10-minute call or it can be a 40-minute call, depending on what we're thinking about generating and some of the things on us. Then I just connect with people. Then around noon, I take a break. I go do lunch. In this day and age, and honestly, even before this, I had started, and so I plan all of my meetings in the afternoon because I'm energized by people, and my energy is starting to wane. By lunchtime, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be done with this thing. So all of my scheduled stuff is afternoon. So my Monday conversation is 2 to 5 p.m. Central Time. The huddle is 2 o'clock. My open is 1 to 3 because it keeps people. It's an energy boost. Generally by 3 to 4, I'm like, I am wiped. And so in this day and age, now with how the things are changing, I'll go for a run. So like instead of doing my early morning runs, I've shifted to doing an afternoon run, which I really like because the sun's out. Like it can be refreshing and it's a creative time for me. And so I consider that part of my work day because when I run, I have some of my best ideas. It's like my own little personal creative brainstorming meeting. And so I'll do that. And then like I'm usually done 4 o'clock. I'm like, I don't know about anything else anymore. And so that's usually, and now with the family around, it's just a whole different dynamic. Cause I worked from my home, for a decade, like I've had this. And so it's different when everyone else is still here. And so the dynamic of having space to interact with people. And we've all we've got a pretty good routine and schedule, but there's no, and then so that's general. Like most of my good creative work all morning, most of my people stuff all afternoon. So that's the big framework. And then I give myself a lot of leeway in between that. So it's not anything, it's not strict. The only consistent thing is I'm trying to run every day. I'm reading every day and trying to be on video, communicating and staying connected with people every day. Outside of that, it's fluid because of the world, how it's changed. I'm just trying to be adaptive to it and serve how we can best.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that because that's one of the things I want to do is I want to just share, leaders have common threads when it comes to systems. You said I wanted people to hear, and that is you can have a system, but it's okay to make changes when you feel like you need to make those changes. So if you feel like, hey, I've got a system, I'm running in the morning, but you know what? Life is a little bit different in this season. Now I'm running in the afternoon. It's okay as long as you just continue to have those systems in place.
Yeah. I agree. And I like the big rock. The way my personality is also, I'm not a terribly rigid individual. And so like having the big chunk of how I'm doing in the morning, my people in the afternoon, creative in the morning, interactive communication, just having that feels really helpful.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. I love everything I've heard. This has been awesome. I want to take just a next 5 or 10 minutes, just real quick. I want to just go through, I'm going to call it time to accelerate. And I
Okay.
just want to just ask you a few questions and then we'll wrap this up. Number one, you talked about, you just got through reading a book. Would you rather read a book or would you rather listen to a podcast?
Read a book always. I haven't really, I just haven't got into the podcast phenomena. And I think it's because of the way I learn, like I have to go slow through things. I like the physical underline. Even if I read on my phone, I'll try to use the highlighting thing on it. When I listen, I lose so much content and context. And so I just don't, and I don't do a lot of listening. I haven't, my drive, I just don't. So book,
Book is your
read
language.
a book.
I love it. I love
Book is, I get a lot more from it. And I like audio books. So I like a long form.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do an audio book, which is different. Honestly, like I'm often, like I get the podcast that I have listened to. I shouldn't say that. I won't say anything. The only podcast that I love is Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History. I haven't found another podcast that I go, I love this.
Yeah.
There's good information. And I just haven't even given myself to listen to a whole bunch of them because I just know myself well enough.
I think at the end of the day, it's all about just what are you doing for growth? You know, you can do books, you can do podcasts. There's so many different avenues. You just got to find your right?
Yep.
Love
yes.
It. Okay. So outside of all this cool stuff you're doing for companies, for people, for culture, what's your favorite hobby? I think I heard running in there. What do you like to do outside of work?
I like to run. I haven't forever, but I used to ride my mountain bike here. Even in Oklahoma, we have some good little trails. Reading is a good hobby. Running is probably my primary, like, when I'm outside of work, what do I want to do? I want to go for a run. And so that probably is my most energizing, interesting thing. We play cards. I like cards. I like playing. I bust out some dominoes again. I haven't played dominoes in a really long time. And I was like, let's play domino. Like in this season where like our family's doing a once a week family night, though they don't want to play dominoes. But so I like games. I like games. So I like cards. I like all kinds of board games and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love it. We recently started a new card game. I'm gonna have to share it. It's called Garbage. Have you heard of it?
I haven't.
Okay, I'll share that with you. I will. Here's my last. I got two more questions.
Okay.
Second to last question is, you when you're speaking, when you're out there on the speaking circuit, you talk about a lot of different things. What's your favorite message? What do you like to talk about?
I mean, my favorite message is my ownership message, and I talk about it the most, and because it has so much application to every aspect of life. And we live in a society that is so renter-centric. And in people's own personal lives, they feel like so much is beyond their ability. But like this scenario is for me, like I try to model, I try to walk the talk, as they say, or talk the walk, or however it is. But, it's like, okay, so this COVID thing, my whole business shut down. For the rest of the year, I'm not planning on speaking. So how do I go, this change is so drastic, and I didn't create it, but how do I own this and make this change mine? How do I say, if I could have created this scenario, this is how I would have done it. And if this is happening, and then out of that, I can own this moment. And honestly, like just being able to have some of the principles that are so embedded in me about how I talk about shaping an ownership culture, because it really is for us as individuals, how do we own every aspect of not just who we are, but what happens to us? Because most things happen to us. So when things happen to us, whether we're resisting or whether we're feeling sorry for ourselves, there's this thing like it's beyond me, or it's not my fault, or something else is to blame. And all this stuff is out here, whether it's I feel like a victim or it's just so overwhelming. How do I say, this is mine? Like I'm going to pretend I created this situation. I'm going to own the scenario as if I were the creator of it. And once I think that way, then it really empowers me to bypass a lot of emotional garbage and a lot of mental energy. I think people spend lots of mind time as a renter. And so the message of ownership frees up so much space then to move forward. So that's my favorite message, because I think it's really effective for organizations, and it really is impacting for individuals.
And I know that you have a list on your website of all the different messages that you talk about, so people can find that.
I love my new website, Bruce. Make sure you promote that new website. I mean, I never did get to because we went right into COVID. It's like, I have a new website. Oh, I'm sorry, you're at home. I'm sorry, you're not having conferences anymore.
I loved how you told the story about it in 2014 when you first got your website, how you felt like, okay, I've arrived. It was great. Last question, Greg. And here's, I love this question. I would love for you to share. What is your 10 years from now, what does your 10 years older self say to you today?
I like that, Bruce. I like that question a whole lot better than asking your younger self. I'm opposed to that question. So when I talk to future Greg, he is saying, stay consistent in who you are, because regardless of what you do, who you are really matters. And honestly, I think 10 years from now, that will be another new season in my life. And I've really come to appreciate how different seasons not just bring out different things, but require different aspects of who I am that maybe have been time locked, and they don't emerge until I enter that season. And just as you age, I mean, as we get older, as we age, we see things about who we are and how we are, that are good and bad, that are helpful and unhelpful, and that then can be utilized to serve others. And so the 10 years self consistent, just stay consistent, sucker. That's what he's saying.
I love that. I love that. So how can the people watching this video, listening to this podcast, how can they get connected to Greg Hawkes and learn more about Greg Hawkes?
Well, our hawksagency.com website has all of the virtual offerings. So we have a virtual Zoom offering happening every day. We have services, and I'm adding a couple more that I'm really excited about. I've got this virtual leadership retreat idea that I think is just awesome. And literally, I just shared it twice yesterday, and both of them were like, let's do that. So I've literally got 2 different people we're doing it with at the first hearing. So hawksagency.com has all of it. And that's it. So go to the virtual page is now the one that's getting hit the most, because it has all of our virtual offerings. So just go there. It collects everything.
Yeah, and I follow you on social media, and so I'm always inspired by all the content you put out. So definitely follow this guy on Twitter, LinkedIn.
Well, let's connect on LinkedIn. If they're on LinkedIn, like that's my favorite platform just for business stuff.
Yeah.
Is LinkedIn.
Yeah. It's good. It's good stuff. Greg, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to talk to you today. And hopefully this will help some others that are listening and watching this.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being with us, brother. Appreciate you.